My name is Moskvin. As you may know, some of the people who have already been a part of NIF Konnect for the past 11. This is actually the 12th Connect that we're actually hosting and doing together with our friends and our partners and community members. So yes, this is the 12th Connect, and it's been a joyful time, hosting these connects and getting to meet these people and collaborating with a lot of people. So yeah, my name is Moskvin. I moderate NIF Konnect, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the presenters that we're going to be who are going to present for this Connect session, and also give you some important information in regards to what we're currently facing right now. I know there's a lot of things happening right now, but it's always best to stay positive. There's a lot of things happening, but staying positive is the most important thing right now for all of us. Right. Before I start with just with the whole program and the whole schedule and following everything as clean as well. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about Connect and what Connect actually means to us. So initially, Connect started as a platform for us where we wanted to have all our NIF users and partners and customers come together and collaborate and speak about new use cases, new processes, new ways of threat detection using analytics to detect threats and a lot of other ways that you can use analytics, right? So that was the initial stage that we started out. The first Connect, the second Connect, but then we started to see a lot of interest from community members that were interested in just learning new things. This then opened up to anyone and everyone. We have people who are outside of not using NIF, people from colleges. We have technology partners that we have introduced as friends, colleagues. A lot of things that has happened, and this community has grown exponentially. That's the best part about Connect. If you are an cybersecurity enthusiast, you're a SOC personnel, anything to do with cybersecurity, this is the platform for you. This is the community for you, right? So that being said, I'd like to mention that this meetup is being streamed live on YouTube, right? So by any chance, if you get disconnected or log off, you can always go to youtube.com/nifhq and you will be able to view this live streaming, right? So with that being said, yeah, let's address the elephant in the room, right? So it's stay home, stay safe, stay productive. I know the hard times, tough times for us. Many are not used to being locked in our homes for this long. But the most important thing is to think about the positives and remain calm, right? And the only way you can do that is to be well informed, okay? Uh, Pay attention to the right sources that give you these information that you're supposed to receive. Do not listen to rumors. Pay attention to this and follow the guidelines. Listen to your government, right? They are concerned about you. That's why this is all being done. Now, the last Connect, I covered a few things about personal hygiene, personal things that we're doing. I think that is old news now, right? People are already following that, and I think it at some points it's working. But now with the simpler instructions is to how some people are going out to get groceries, some people are having them delivered. But what is the way that you can protect yourself when you are doing all of this? If you're going out to get your groceries, if you're ordering them home, right? So it's a simple procedures that you can follow in regards to groceries. Social distancing is very important. When you're going out, make sure that you keep distance, possibly sanitize your hand as much as possible, the trolley, the baskets, right? Once you're home, wash your hands thoroughly. Obviously the simpler facts, right? And stay away. If you heard there's someone positively affected by Cyware, it doesn't mean that you isolate them or ostracize them. It's just the fact that you be cautious and obviously be safe, take care of yourself, right? So when it comes to fruits and vegetables that you or any groceries that you get, it's very important to wash them well, wash them clean, and and make sure that as safe as possible for yourself as well as your loved ones. The other most important fact that we are aware of, we're not aware of, is be smart, be informed about rumors. This is one of the things that currently even the WHO doesn't know how to deal with. There are certain instances where cash or coins, paper notes or coins can be can still contain droplets expelled right from infected people, or what situation around that is very simple. So what I do, I'll give you an example of what I do. I put the money, whatever I get, if I get it from a person outside my home, I put it in a Ziploc bag, and I put it in a Tupperware, and I actually go ahead and refrigerate it. Okay, so I keep it refrigerated for about 24 hours. I know this sounds a bit paranoid, okay, but that's what I do. I'm opening myself up to that paranoia, right? Yeah, so I refrigerate it for about 24 hours, and then after which I take it out, and then it's roughly safe to use, because after 24 hours of refrigeration, any microorganisms or bacteria or viruses will die. Right, that's the case for frozen foods as well. So if you refrigerate foods, or you keep it in the freezer, you have a better chance of getting rid of these things. Yeah. So for protective measures, all of this I've picked up from WHO. Yeah. So please go there and then figure out as to what needs to be done. How do you protect yourself? If you have any other, these are just some of the examples that I have right now. Okay, because I thought it was important. There are other more examples that are available that you can go to this link and figure out as to how, and whatever your requirements are, they have an answer for it. Right? So whatever the cause. Yeah, so we're all in this cycle. This is a repetition of what we did the last time for the Connect. So make work from home fun and productive, right? These are simple steps that you need to follow. Yeah, I know it's hard, but the major aspect is you follow them. You do it properly, and you stick to your schedule, and you can have your work done appropriately and effectively. Right? You schedule yourself, allot break times and lunch time appropriately. Do not skip them. Do not skip your breaks and lunchtime. Snack healthy, right? And account for workouts as well. It could be early in the morning, it could be later on in the evening as well. And avoid overworking. Okay, overworking yourself. Make sure that you get plenty of rest. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, this is going to be a tiring and tedious and a very monotonous thing that you keep doing. Stick to your schedule and mix it up a bit. Mix it up a bit. Make it fun. Make it fun. That's how I'm coping with things. So, how to best cope with social distancing and lockdown? This is one of the things. Interact without risk. Most important. This is the first one. Most important. Use technology to stay in touch. Right. So you don't have to shake hands or meet your friends every day. You can use technology to stay in touch. This is what we've been doing for ages, and many people have been telling us, stay away from technology, go out more often, etc., etc. So connect people with the people living around you. If it's your family members, if it's your roommates, whoever it is, just connect with them. Make sure that social distancing is there. Exercise, meditate, make it a part of your daily routine as much as possible, because this is what will keep you sane and keep you grounded, right? And get you through those those tough days. Obviously, support your community and friends. Major aspect of that. Support your community and your friends, whatever possible, with making sure that you stay safe. You make sure that you support your friends and your family. Yes, about community. Now, coming about community. So very thankful to these gentlemen who are part of the Connect Community Heroes, who have been, been past presenters, helped us. And we are very much open to people who will come on to Connect and, share their knowledge and become, add to this list of growing list of Connect Community Heroes. You can mail us at connect@nif.it, and, as a presenter, you are assured a gift voucher of 1,000 rupees. This is a gift voucher from Amazon, right? So all you need to do is write to us at connect.nif.it with your name and the topic that you'd like to cover. Anything in cybersecurity, anything is the offensive, defensive methodologies that you would like to talk about. We're more than happy to listen to you and, obviously give you a chance at that, sharing your knowledge. Most of this would be possible without our technology and knowledge partners who've contributed towards these sessions, not only with the knowledge, with the people that they have provided, but also with technology and services that they have rendered towards us, just to showcase how technologies can work together and make a lot of sense, right? I mean, that's the whole idea about everything. Technologies working together, coming together, and fulfilling a larger cause, or for meeting a cause. So that's the most important thing. Now, yeah. So that was the community part of it, the whole aspect where we as a thought, right? So now I'd like to go into the agenda. What can you expect today? We have a great lineup, as you can see. We start off with Mikhail from Kaspersky, who will be covering 19 Threat Intelligence Resource Center, some great facts and stuff that Mikhail will be covering. His session duration is roughly about 15 minutes. We will move on then to Avkash from Cyware, who will be presenting on how would you decipher cyber threat intelligence framework. And finally, we will end it with Kaushal, one of the returning presenters. He will be talking about strategizing your threat intelligence. How do you do it, obviously, the hard way. So great lineup we have today, okay, for you. So hope you stick by. And it's very important, the Q&A part, okay? So many of you all will have a lot of questions. It's a great lineup. I've actually, spent some time with these gentlemen, and they have taken a lot of effort in coming up with their slides and the contents and the demo and all of these things. So if you have any questions, it's very simple. All you need to do is click the Q&A tab, okay? Mention the name of the presenter that you would like to, address a question to, followed by your question. So if it's supposedly for Avkash or Kaushal, you'd write Avkash and followed by the relevant question. Mikhail then followed by the relevant question, or Kaushal followed by the relevant question based on their topics that they present. So that's a lot of talking from my part, okay? And moving on, I will just head on. So we will start with Mikhail, obviously technology account manager at Kaspersky. He, as well, is a returning presenter. He had presented last year in the month of September, if I'm not mistaken, 2019. It's a great topic that he covered. Today he's going to be covering COVID-19 Threat Intelligence Resource Center and some of the things that Kaspersky is coming up with. Without fail, I'd like to also thank Kaspersky, our technology partner and session contributor, for this session, who will who have generously provided this. So just a little bit about Mikhail. So Mikhail works, as I mentioned, with the Kaspersky HQ, and is responsible for the successful implementation of Kaspersky Threat Intelligence services and products. So he brings with him, obviously goes without saying, he brings with him a lot of strong technical background, immense knowledge of working with threat intelligence, right? And he has a lot of experience in data feed implementation for various environments. Very important thing. So without further ado, I will pass it on to Mikhail to take this session forward.
Nice to meet you, everybody, and I hope that you stay safe and you feel great today, and keep be in a good mood, of course. Okay, today we will talk with you about the threat intelligence, use cases, and I will cover Kaspersky threat intelligence portfolio a little bit and have a look on what Kaspersky does to support business to effectively mitigate COVID-19 related threats. Okay, let's start. Yeah, and first of all, to start with, as you can see, nowadays we see that the networks are becoming more and more interconnected, and this leads to the expanded attack surface, and together that threats becoming more and more sophisticated, and this creates really difficult and challenging situation. So we see that the boundaries for the threats began to blur, and for example, like a ransomware attack, supply chain attack, mobile threats, financial phishing attacks, and coming more and more for everybody. And as Kaspersky see right now, there is this very nowadays there are a lot of COVID-19 related cyber threats. Yeah, but guys are not sleeping right now, then they create a lot of COVID-19 related cyber threats, of course. And motivation of threats actors are very widely. You can see from this slide that theft to blackmail, identity theft, each industry, each organization has not shown unique data and want to protect unique set of application and technologies. And you can see that nowadays COVID-19 latent threats are covered across all of these verticals. Let's have a look on the threat intelligence use cases. Probably you know this, and we divide these use cases on the 4 parts: from the long-term and short-term perspective, on the high-level or low-level perspectives. And for instance, machine-readable threat intelligence for low level can enhance security control and enable effective alert prioritization, and can provide analysts burnout while investigating an attack. As you can see here on the tactical level, on this side, the threat intelligence can improve threat hunting mission and help to develop effective monitoring and detection use case. You can see all the strategical level and then the operational level. And now we'll talk about the machine-readable threat intelligence on the level, on low level, and the technical part. Speaking about threat intelligence selection criteria, and to validate threat intelligence, it could be the following, could be followed by these principles. First of all, threat intelligence should be rich and providing broadest attack visibility, right? Is the first thing. Second, this should be only new threats, should spotting with the threats only new threats. And the third, there should be contents rich to immediately to have in order to immediately have actionable intelligence. And it should be delivered via the format and allow easy integration with any of systems like SIEM systems, WAR systems, and etc. Okay, let's move and see on Kaspersky Threat Intelligence Sources. It will be quite interesting. First of all, that we at Kaspersky have more than 20 years expertise on the threat intelligence and cybersecurity area, and we use various sources to gather our threat intelligence. First of all, we have a Kaspersky Security Network, and KSN, and with more than 100 million users across the globe voluntarily share anonymous data about the threats with us. So we use this data and we enrich this data with the information for proprietary technologies. And like bot farm, sensor, we have globally well-known NPT research teams, we have our partners. And then our Kaspersky Lab expert systems collect all this data, check it for the false positives, and in the end, we have a threat intelligence and really and very good threat intelligence for our customers. A couple words about the Kaspersky threat intelligence portfolio. So we cover all these steps, all these 4 parts of threat intelligence. And now we'll talk about the technical side. And 2 words about that. We have a Kaspersky premium data feeds that Kaspersky is currently offering a set of threat data feeds that can be integrated with the customer's existing security controls. As you can see, there is a SIEM system, TIP system, SWAR system, and network security devices, and etc., allowing timely detection of the threats. And you can see that all of the threat intelligence on the left side can be matched against the logs from all of this point system from the right side, and you will see to detect the threats. Here, may I draw your attention to the following. Kaspersky Threat Data Feed supports out-of-the-box integration with any SIEM system or TIP system by your request. So we support any integration with our premium data feeds. Okay, and finally, speaking about the COVID-19 latent phishing feed, Kaspersky supports businesses to avoid COVID-19 pandemic with the free, immediately actionable threat intelligence feed. And we're enabling them to more effectively mitigate COVID-related phishing cyber threats for absolutely free. And this feed is available in JSON formats and our open threat intelligence portal.kaspersky.com. This feed contains indicator of compromise with actionable and valuable context, of course, and these feeds are updated every hour. Once again, it's absolutely free feeds, so you can join to the opentipkaspersky.com, open this link, and you can download this, get this feed for free. Yeah. And of course, for any threat intelligence questions, please welcome. And I should like to point out that you could always request for the validation any Kaspersky Threat Intelligence services. Please welcome to add any questions to the following addresses, directly to the services POC integrations or directly to me. Yeah. Do you see some questions in the chat? Yeah, yes, feel free to ask any question during this webinar to me directly. Words about our Open Threat Intelligence portal. Here you can enter and request any of the objects. Will it be hash, IP addresses, domain, or URLs, and you can have a lookup of this and check these indicators. And of course, you can get the free Kaspersky phishing COVID-related feeds from this portal. Pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I find it really nice that Kaspersky is going ahead with this, providing this feeds for free. At this time, I think this time in need, this is some of the things that the businesses actually do require. It's
Yeah, absolutely. It's so amazing that our management decided to give these feeds for free. It's absolutely look like our premium feeds, and you can download it, check it, and upload on your any SIEM system or any other system, and it will be updated every 1 hour, so you can download it from here. And it will be super nice if you get any feedbacks related to these feeds, of course, and you can check it. Right now, there are a lot of attacks against the phishings using the COVID-related threats. So please, you are welcome.
Yeah, because I believe this is great, Mikhail, because this is one of the things I actually covered in the last Connect that we have. I'm sure Kaushal remembers that. So I had actually put a few screenshots in which these phishing attacks were very prominent and was affecting a lot of people. Out of the pandemonium and the scare, people actually go ahead and click a lot of links, telling them that this is something that is free. You would be applicable for so and so benefit if you give us your information or click on this link, and that's a whole kind of thing that at this point in time during this stage, people are taking advantage of fear. It's someone's fear. So and this is a great gesture by Kaspersky, to enable people and businesses. So great, thank you very much.
Yeah, I see the one open question here in the chat from the Weinhalf Toll. Yeah, Mikhail, thanks for the valuable narrative. Could you please mention effective false positive reduction techniques that you could suggest? Oh, that is a super good question. You know that I can talk about this question a lot. Let me answer you live a little bit just about this. First of all, you should use only the feeds with most related threads. So you could check on the popularity, and you can check the thread score parameter, of course. Like IP reputation data feed should have a thread score, like a least score and high score. So you should check the popularity, and there are a lot of techniques that we're using right now, and most of all that use only actionable right now threads. Yeah, and please raise this question to me directly, and I'm sure that I will share with you some maybe internal techniques. And here, the second question, if you could share some insight on how do you filter into intelligence field that qualify only for COVID-19 specific threat intelligence, as the threat landscape is quite a mix of a nation state, target attack space. Yeah, it's a great question. So as I mentioned earlier, COVID-19, we have a phishing, we got a lot of phishing attacks. So most of our threat intelligence related 19 feeds related to the phishing attacks. So it's just like a spear phishing. It's a lot of attacks to the bank organization, to collect money, it's like some of the sophisticated attack. Yeah, and some of them could be the mixed nation state. Of course, it's globally wide attacks. Thank you. We'll have told. Yeah, I have one more question here. Well, will the false positives be removed from the feed provided the Kaspersky? Yeah, absolutely. So you can see that from our TI resources here, that before that we produce the threat intelligence feed to our customers, we have a good and huge expert systems, Kaspersky Lab expert system. We check every feeds for the false positive and provide only clear feeds to our customers. Once again, we have more than 20 plus years expertise. We have a lot of techniques inside to clear it for the false positives. And during the validation of the Kaspersky feeds, we will help you to manage this and to check it, to be clear of the false positives. For instance, we use, once again, we use masks. We have 9 types of masks to use the feeds, like wildcarded masks. So detection rate would be really high to use in wildcarded mask. We use the popularity, we use the threat score, and more other techniques inside. And once again, we check all the data, all the threat intelligence from our sources, and check it with our global users that share it with this voluntary data. So in the end, we have a quite good threat intelligence. I hope I answer your question. And please share all your thoughts and questions to me directly, and I will help you, of course.
Yeah. Great. As Mikhail mentioned that he's online with us for the entirety of Connect. So you at any point in time, if you have any questions that pop up, you can freely write to him as Webber, Tole, and Krishna have written. Okay. So it's open. You can always write, and Mikhail can go ahead and answer this by typing the answer to them, or maybe can just answer the questions at the end of the session. However, the presenters see and feel it fit to answer those questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mariner. Thank you very much, dear attendants. I hope you to keep stay safe and feel great. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Mikhail. So as I mentioned, that was Mikhail. Thank you very much once again, right, for that great presentation. Again, any questions can be directly addressed to Mikhail, and he'll be more than happy to answer those questions. So moving on, the social geek award that we usually have is this, right? Great chance to win a 1,000 rupee Amazon gift voucher. All you need to do is tweet on Twitter or post on Facebook using hashtag DNIF Konnect and @NIF HQ. Okay, and win. That's as simple as that. So a 1,000 rupee gift voucher awaits you. All simply go ahead, go postal with the post, right? And as simple as that. So yes, our next featured presenter, a long-time good friend, Avkash. He obviously will be taking us through deciphering cyber threat intelligence framework. Okay, so I've known Avkash for a long time now, and it's back and forth with him. I'm really happy he's taken this opportunity to come on to Connect and present over here and impart his knowledge. Which, let me just give you a background about Avkash. So Avkash is an information security professional with an overall experience. Okay, get this, 10 plus years of experience in the defense side of information security domain. Currently working on security research in the domain of automated incident response using orchestration and threat intelligence framework for practical implementations. Now, he's also associated with the Mumbai chapter of the Null community, which is obviously, I've mentioned there's a lot of Null community members that participate in this. But it's great. It's great to have a person with so much experience coming here on the defensive side, right? And it's going and taking us through this whole threat intelligence framework and deciphering all of that. So without further ado, I pass it on to Avkash.
Hey, thanks, Bhavin. Thanks for the quick introduction. And hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing good at home. I know we all are going through a very tough time, but that's how the life is, right? We stick there. Hello, all, and thanks, Mikhail, for the wonderful session. It was the first time listening to you over here, and nice to meet you, and all the friends out there who have joined this session. Thank you for taking out a time, and at least you're making sure that you are here to learn two new things, and that's the most important part, because learning has no age. We keep saying, right? Every day we have to learn something new, and that's a part of life. So we do a lot of community sessions as well, and we never thought that we all will be sitting home and doing collaboration or the community engagements remotely. But obviously the time has pushed all of us to go digital. Though we were all digital, but yeah, always in person meets has its own advantage. So for today, we will uh, go over the threat intelligence life cycle, different types. So Mikhail already covered a few of those, like what are the types, but I want it to be more interactive. So I expect not many questions here. Obviously, I will try to answer on my best, and please feel free to answer if anybody has wants to share. It doesn't mean that okay, if I'm presenting I can only answer. Please everyone feel free to contribute, because the only agenda we all are here is to share the knowledge or exchange the knowledge. Even I want to take take two new learnings from here today. So let it be more interactive, bi-directional, and please feel free to ask question. Please try to answer any question if you see there, and please feel free to add anything if you know that okay in this particular section you want to add additional thing. Please feel free to go and add those. So just so these are the things we will going through today, high level. Again, you can expect my presentation to be like 60,000 feet. I might not go into the ground level for today's session. Obviously, we have our next presenter, Kaushal, who will be actually taking us through the ground level ride for most of the topics which I'm talking. So I will make sure that I'm still keeping very high level, and try to give the high level picture about when you're starting your threat intel journey, what are the things to keep in mind, and overall strategy guidance perspective where you should move your overall threat intelligence program, rather than just keeping focused on one of the aspect. So we will uh, talk a little bit about threat intel, types of threat intel. We'll cover the life cycle and the three key important aspect: intel automation, uh, technical to tactical shift which is happening, and the intel collaboration. So are the three key things which I personally feel very important as part of the threat intel framework implementation. We will go over those. So before we go into the threat intelligence, I always uh, start with the whole analogy of the physical to cyber world, because I've been on the other side of the table where defining the strategies for the larger companies, and actually defending those attacks. And whenever I've seen any new technology adoption happening into the industry, or people are trying to innovate on the cyber defensive strategies, somewhere or other way it always relate back to the physical world. How in physical world we defend those crises, be it like kind of pandemic like situation, or go back to the war time. In physical war, how we retract to the situations of the war situation. In cyber also, somewhere or other way, we carry forward those learnings. You take any example of let's say the preventive controls that ideally any companies put in the cyber world, right? Initial era that we have seen people, we always try to prevent any attack, like technologies like firewall, IPS, antivirus, proxy. Many such technology innovation happen over the period, and we have seen that's as a first line of defense. We try to prevent those attacks. Similarly, if you see in the current pandemic situations, also COVID-19, our first primary goal has to be like preventive. That how we can prevent such biological malware which is spreading across, by keeping ourselves into the social distancing, as Mervin was walking us through how we can make sure that we are not getting infecting ourselves, right? So preventive measures are the first line of defense, we always say, but we just not rely on that. We need to make sure that even if preventive controls are not enough, somebody is bypassing those controls, you are able to detect those malwares the biological or the cyber world malwares in a real time. That's why you see the test. People across the globe are saying that you need to make sure that you are testing enough, be it in COVID situation where you are highly impacted, to making sure that you are identifying each and every case which is spreading virus among the other human beings. Similarly, in the cyber, we have we in the last, I think 6 to 7 years, we have seen the technology innovations for detection based technologies like SIM, data lake, Cuba, Embed, and innovation is still continuing, right? Many next generation technologies we have seen where detection is the focus, because we all know 100% prevention of any attack, it's like a dream. Attackers are smart. Obviously they will always find a way to bypass those controls, and that's where you should be ready to detect any of those bypasses. And obviously once you detect, you need to respond, right? In current situation, if you know somebody tested positive for corona, you need to make sure that you isolate, you quarantine, and you start treating them, so that you fight that malware, and then the human life is saved. Similarly, we have our incident responders, the frontline warriors we say in the cyber world. When they see any attack, they go and respond to those, be it SOP playbooks or their own knowledge, and then they start responding to those attacks they are seeing. And the last thing, obviously, we are seeing now is prediction, because you can't just wait for attack to happen. You need to be more proactive in nature, and that's where whole prediction domain in the cyber world in form of threat intelligence we are observing, where people wants to keep ahead themselves in terms of what attacks somebody else is witnessing in other part of the world or other sectors what they are observing. So we need to keep learning what is happening around, and that's where the profound knowledge of any attack is very critical. Even in this situation currently, we are also trying to make sure we are using the data analytics to predict any cluster outbreaks anywhere which will happen, or between countries people have started some uh, contact centers who across the countries share the information with each other by the help of WHO, or many research arm across states or across countries are collaborating with each other to keep them aware where and what is happening. So as I said, in physical world and in cyber world, one of the topic that we are touching today is the threat intelligence. So if you take the example of the our physical world war as well, where threat intel as a concept exists, right? You always have physical world also, you need intel, be it any outside country or a nation state actors are planning to do any invasion or any attack. So you want to capture those information in real time, and you want to pass it on to your law enforcement agencies to make sure that those information is acted upon in real time, and we are protected. Obviously, the current situation, I will not go into much depth of this slide, but just wanted to keep it that cyber attacks has not gone anywhere in this time. It has continuously increased. If you just see one example of the Zscaler report, almost the type of themed threats, the phishing threats which people are observing has increased dramatically. So uh, cyber attacks are not going anywhere. If people are saying that due to maybe economic slowdown or some other reason, attackers will go away. No, it's not like that. They are going to bounce back with the double energy, and they are doing their job with the double energy to make sure they are there to do their business. So we also on the other side of the table need to make sure that we are also effectively collaborating, keeping ourselves ready to any such attacks or any such threat which may as an individual person or as an organization or as a state or as a nation will face. So let's move more towards our core agenda for today's discussion, threat intelligence, where this question keep coming in any of my discussion when I do during the customer interaction or the community communications which we are doing. That what is threat intelligence, or what is cyber threat intelligence? Obviously, I have my own understanding, which I have personally learned from over the years. How I have seen the day one when I learned the threat intel. And today, when I am doing more R&D around, or I'm trying to learn more around this threat intelligence, but before I go into those specific discussion about the threat intelligence, I thought let's have some question answers from the audience which we have today, so that I know more that what do you think about the threat intel, and then we will go ahead further discussion about the exact definition of threat intel, or what is my own understanding of the threat intel. So can we have the small quiz here, Marvin?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, Avkash. So this is how this poll will work. Obviously, we've done polls previously as well, but there's a little bit of a twist over here. Here in this poll one, we will have four questions, right? Four separately different questions. You will have good enough time, about a minute to answer them. So I'm going to launch the poll right now. Okay, four separate questions with multiple options. Go ahead and select one of them, right? And you have about a minute. So I'm launching the poll right now.
Okay, let me also see the question, and hope guys you answer. Please answer whatever the best you can. The first question I see is, what is threat intelligence? Options are: is it threat data? Is it threat information? Is it threat knowledge? How many types of STIX domain objects in STIX 2.0? Okay, the people will be dealing in and out of the threat intelligence, so might know this, that what is STIX, and what does it mean by domain object, and how many types of domain object. Third question we have is, what TLP stands in terms of threat intelligence. This is a very common question, but I thought it's better to know the understanding of the TLP in terms of threat intelligence, because it's very important aspect when you talk or share any of the threat intelligence information with each other, and what TIPS stands for in terms of cybersecurity. So let's see. Once we have the response for this, I mean, let me know once we have enough response, and then
Yes. So we are in, and I think we've got a lot of. There's still some coming through, so it'll be surprising. I mean, we've gone above a minute, so let me just check again. So yeah, I think we can end the poll right now, sir, successfully, and I'm doing that and end the poll, and I will share the results for everyone.
So yeah, the first you guys can see the poll on the screen, right? Poll results on the screen.
Yes, it's visible to everyone actually.
Awesome.
Right now. Yeah.
So I'm just going through the results. So the first question was, what is threat intelligence? Threat data, information, knowledge. We will talk about the difference between these three into the subsequent slide. But I see the maximum people has responded as 48% has responded threat information, which is correct answer. And I'm glad that we have really good audience who understand the difference here. Obviously, there is always a blur line between what you call data, information, and knowledge. So it's always debatable point. But yes, to the points where majority of the opinion, I still think it's threat information. How many types of STIX domain objects in STIX 2.0? So it's a very mixed response. 10, 11, 12, 13. Obviously, I'm not going to discuss that. Please do Google. There is a website from Oasis. Just Google STIX 2.0. There is a help doc which you will end up, and you can go through the all domain objects there and just count and put it into the comment section once you have those counts from there. TLP. Okay, this is surprising. Where TLP in terms of threat intelligence, I see 48% of people has responded threat landscape protocol. I never heard of threat landscape protocol. I don't know whether we are inventing something new here. I may be learning. I need to go and Google something about this if I missed something like this, which I don't know, maybe. But the correct answer is a traffic light protocol. It's like red, amber, green. That's the standard TLP standards which people follow when they share the threat intelligence with each other within the organization, outside the organization. The last question was, what TIP stands for in terms of cybersecurity. I think 71% has answered threat intelligence platform, which is the correct answer. We see a lot of threat intel platform providers, many open source and enterprise platforms we see across, which does the primary job of overall automating your threat intelligence framework within one organization. So good response. Let's move ahead. The main first question we were discussing about threat intelligence, right? So this is what I have understood as per my own knowledge and by reading it through some online definitions and personal experience, that the first layer of this whole pyramid is the data, right? The threat data, whatever you receive at day one, or when you start collecting the data from the internet without any context, obviously. When I say context, it has to be contextual to you. For example, if I'm a banker, if I receive any threat report which says Stuxnet virus targeting the nuclear power plant, so I need to bring the context that how contextual this report is to me, how contextual is this report to my organization, what are the things I can learn from this report, and how it will help me as a finance or as a banking organization as a learning from this. It may not be that report is 100% relevant to you, but while you receive, let's say, a Swift attack, maybe 100% relevant to you. So whenever you receive any threat data, you need to make sure that you contextualize those information, because you may have access to hundreds and thousands of source, be it when you are collecting any data from open source intelligence, or when you are receiving the data from your security partners, or when you are receiving your data from your regulators, your ISAC. So there are 100 ways from where you get the information, or when you get the data. The first and foremost thing to do is the contextualize the data, convert into the information, which is the next level, where the volume will become less, and now you have more context around the data, and now okay, this information is very much relevant to you. And once you have those information documented and aggregated and analysis, enrichment done, now you start applying this information to various use, to various operations, be SOC team, IR team, threat intel, threat hunting, incident response, multiple place, fraud management. You start applying this information, start using this information, right? And once you start using this information, you have the knowledge of so something you see on the top, I have said it's applied information. When you start applying the information, or you start using the information into various stage or operations, you will know, you will generate a knowledge out of it. And it is very important to keep documenting the knowledge and keep sharing the knowledge within the organization, outside the organization, to know if this knowledge can be readily helpful for some other organization when they start receiving or the deciphering this data within their organization. And that's where the whole threat intelligence, if you see, plays a role between these two. It's more on the center part of the information, but still it does the blur boundaries between the data and the knowledge. But if I go back to the initial days when I got introduced to the threat intelligence, the primary thing that very first thing that I heard about the whole threat intel concept was when I was an SIM administrator. There used to be one tool from Symantec that time called SSIM, and in that time, a lot of SIM providers started coming with the the watch list feeds into the SIM, because in SIM you need to write correlation rules, and that's where it was getting difficult to write any kind of correlation directly on the logs, like firewall logs, or the IPS, where if you see the firewall log, the volume is so high that so many network traffic packets are going on, and it's hard to decipher that which packet is malicious, which is not, what you will understand as a malicious and what not. And that's where the whole threat intel feeds or the threat intelligence came into the picture, where initial form was more of a watch list, where the list of malicious IP, URL, domain, hash was being shared by the SIM vendors or many security partners. We used to update into the watch list and keep writing the correlation rule to correlate the whole different network traffics or different network logs or other source of logs, with this threat intel feeds to get more meaningful incidents or alert out of that. From that period, we have now come a long way. Where we heard many good thing into the previous presentation from Mikhail, where he was talking about different types of intel and how organizations are moving from one place to another place. So I know already Mikhail has covered all those four parts, but still I thought let's go and do more knowledge check around those types of threat intelligence. I just want to know from all of you, what is your understanding on those four different types which we keep talking, right? The strategic intelligence, operational intelligence, tactical intelligence, and technical intelligence. So can we have one more quiz for the types of threat intelligence, and we can learn from there how those are different with each other.
Yes, Avkash, definitely. So again, same rules. I'll open the poll question to the public attendees. Poll question 2 will have 2 questions under them, and it's being made live.
Yeah, it's a very simple two question. Be super quick for all of you to answer. The first is hash, which is obviously MD5, SHA-2 physics, SHA-512. Obviously, there are many new hash type has come in today's time. So, is which type of threat intelligence? Is it strategic, tactical, technical, operational? We have already covered this into the previous presentation, so I hope it will be very easy for all of you to answer. And which one of the below is the tactical intelligence? Which again we have seen few examples, but if you can select any one specifically which you personally feel that this is more tactical in nature. Obviously there are two more. I have not asked the question around those two. The left ones are the strategic intelligence and the operational intelligence. So in subsequent slide we will be going through those, and we will have the examples of those different types of intelligence.
Okay, so I think we've got a good amount of responses. Right, I'll go ahead and end the poll right now.
Okay.
And I will share results, so everyone will be able to view this.
Awesome. I see the first one was the no-brainer. I see almost 50% has answered the correct one. It says hash is which type of threat intel. It's more technical in nature. And the second one was the which one of the below is technical intel. The malware hash, the credential dumping technique, or CNC URL, or malware trends for last quarter. As I say, the hash and URL are more technical in nature, and the trends, the malware trends are more strategic in nature, because it is not going, you are not going to use those directly as a tactical or technical intel. So obvious answer was credential dumping technique, which is we everyone know running in a SOC day in day out is most popular thing, which we come across from the red teamers or from our threat hunters on a day-to-day basis. So let's move on and see the four types: strategic, operational, tactical, and technical. As I'll say, one type I consider as a macro, other type I consider as a micro. The left side is more strategic and operational, which is more for human. I still consider this information is more for human to consume and human to act on that information. While on the right side, which is tactical and technical, which is more for machine to consume and machine to act on those information. And this all four types has its own use cases at different level. So let's go and see one by one. So strategic intelligence, right? Don't go by the picture. Yes, it says the art of military strategy. It is something like that in the real world, where as I said, it has to be consumed by the human. It has to be deciphered by the human and acted upon by the human, where a lot of English we keep on receiving on day-to-day basis in our mailboxes, news articles, blog, strategic reports, which we keep receiving. So it has its own use case. Few examples I have plotted here, as I've already said, and this should be used in mostly our strategic defense or strategic controls which we are planning, or strategic technology purchase which we are planning. It so this all strategic intel or strategic information has to be aligned with those use cases, that how you're going to help the business in terms of strategizing the overall security controls which you will have, or let's say if my company is planning to launch any or planning to acquire any specific company in specific geography or sector, then do I have the threat intel or the threat information for that particular geography or that particular sector, or if within the company you're planning to do some product launch, and do you have the proper threat information about the audience, the geography where it is going to be launched, and what kind of risk which people are already observing in other part of the world where they have already launched such thing in the past. So it all revolves around the human, the strategic intelligence. Second is the tactical. If you go on I will jump on the other side, the machine part of it, where we were talking that technical is there. Obviously, we all know what technical is. I have one slide for that, but since last few months, I would say, or 1 or 2 years, I've seen industry wide, a lot of people are now talking about more tactics, and that's why you see the popularity of MITRE ATT&CK Navigator has gone up, where why people are talking about the TTPs more when they talk about either SOC use cases, threat intel harnessing, or the incident response, or threat hunting, or the red teaming. Everybody is started aligning to the whole the tactical, the TTPs, or the MITRE ATT&CK frameworks, or the metrics. And apart from those TTPs, there are a lot of organizations we have seen that they keep on having their vulnerability dashboards mapped to the specific exploits. They also do the exploit alert monitoring. For example, I know that one CVID, which is more critical for me in my organization, the risk is very high associated to the components of the product I'm using. There is no exploit available today, but I want to keep a watch on the maybe the surface web right now to make sure that any new exploit will be available for that vulnerability. I should be get alerted. So those kind of thing, or maybe if one specific vulnerability or exploited being start somebody start utilizing for delivering specific payloads, or compromising specific systems, or compromising specific products, I want to be aware. So these are more tactical things in nature, which is more from focusing on the technical aspect. We are moving towards the tactical thing. We have one slide. We will focus that how and what is the difference. Technical, obviously, I don't need to go into the each detail. We every day deal with this IOC, IP, domain URL hash, and there are many more. So just few example. The list is completely endless. The crazy IOCs that you can create and can consume and store and act on into the technical intelligence. The last is the operational intelligence, which again the human side, which I was saying that the situational awareness for your organization, the attacks or the things which are happening around. This whole the new concept of social media monitoring or the dark web monitoring. Many organizations are moving towards this direction where they want to keep a watch. Let's say if somebody is trying to sell my customer data or my organization data into the dark web or surface web, or if somebody is trying or is right now discussing about any vulnerability available on my website or my product, maybe in social media or into the dark web. So many things around your business operation and the threats around that. So you want to keep an eye on, and you want to get the beforehand information that if somebody is talking about this thing, let me know, and so I can proactively act on this. So these are the 4 types we have seen. Now let's go towards the intelligence lifecycle, or the kind of the framework which everyone sees. And again, this will vary. So someone might have one more step, one less step. Adoption of this always vary based on the maturity at what level you are, and how you're going to start. So before I go into the life cycle, there is one quick thing. Let me just highlight. See, if you are an organization who are just starting with the threat intel, or into the middle, or into the advanced stage, so I personally feel that there are 3 stages of any organization, or the maturity of any threat intelligence. The crawl, walk, run, if you ask me, in that aspect, where your threat intel whole threat intel organization or threat intel team is more in the first phase you are more reactive in nature, where you are trying to gather as many information from multiple sources. You're trying to build the context, and and then you're using it when you're responding. While the second is more proactive in nature. Before you get attacked, you are proactively getting the information, how to increase my defenses against the attack which I am seeing in the other geography or somewhere else. And the third type is more of the run approach, where we go towards the more predictive in nature, where the forward-looking analysis and more of the predictive analysis where we want to do, and that's where maybe then Vivana stage comes. But again, coming back to the life cycle perspective, so it's obvious you ingest all the intel from multiple places, and when I say ingest, this can be your structured sources, unstructured sources, but machine plays a crucial role here today. And we have so many Python scripts, the tools available, technologies available, open source, paid, to aggregate all this information at one place, be it structured information coming via sticks, taxi, API, JSON, XML, or unstructured information coming in the form of article, PDF, news, blog. Everything needs to be aggregated in one place. And obviously, the second life cycle stage is enrichment, because as I was showing previously, also building the context or the contextual data is more super important. And when I say enrichment, it doesn't mean external enrichment; it has to be internal as well. When I say external, maybe you got one hash, you got one URL, you try to do a VT lookup, or hybrid analysis lookup, or maybe expose lookup. That's more of an external context you're trying to build around that indicator or any intel which you have. But also equally important to build an internal context about the past history of any incident, or past visibility, or similar industry observing similar indicator. So anything from an internal context perspective, if you can have enrichment of those intel which you are receiving. I will come to the collaboration in the last, but let's say post analysis, post enrichment, the decision making of the triaging, which we say similar to incident response. Threat intel also needs a lot of decision making, because it doesn't mean you receive thousands of indicator daily. That means you will block or act on all those thousands indicator. You need to have some kind of decision making in place, maybe a human based, machine based, algorithm based. There are many ways with using which you can have derive your own a whole intel prioritization or decision making algorithms to define and identify what needs to be acted. You may receive so many information, but what is more relevant for you and how you want to act. For example, maybe I received 1000 IP today, but then when I do the whole enrichment analysis, and then I start scoring my intel. Let's say I've scored my intel on the scale of 0 to 100. Then I start when I want to act on it in the last step, when I say response, here I need to be more have the decision making. Like example, if the score is between 80 to 100, let's push those indicators to preventive technologies like firewall, IPS, proxy, antivirus, which will block the attack beforehand. But if the confidence score is, let's say, between 60 to 80, I don't want to block those straight away. Maybe I want to update into my watch list, into different detection technologies like SIM, UBA, Big Data Lake, which I am having. Or let's say if the score is less than 60, or between 40 to 60, put it into the analyst queue for manual review. And if the score is less than 40, I don't want to do anything. Let me expire the enter. And this whole scoring has to be very repetitive in nature. That's why it is said it's a life cycle. You can't just say it's one time it is done and dump. You have to continuously keep doing for all the phases. When you receive any threat intel, you consume or you act on any threat intel. Collaboration, we will talk this piece in detail into the few slides into the end, but that is also becoming very critical when we talk about threat intelligence, and we will see why the collaboration is much important. When to use threat intelligence? This question is also uh, uh, most important for any SOC team, incident response team, to understand that when and how you are applying this threat intelligence. So the very first thing before an attack, uh, uh, when you are not getting attacked, you make sure that you are continuously collecting, enriching, contextualizing the intel from different sources, and also you are actioning the curated intel before you become the victim of those attacks. Basically, if somebody in the other part of the world see those attacks, that's an intel for you. Proactively you go and have document the learning and implement the controls around those learnings. during the attack, incident responders know this phase very best. I can bet on that. That during when you are investigating any incident, uh, the threat intel use case is the topmost. I would say when you receive any hash or when you receive any URL, you see some machine was doing some CNC communication. Now you want to build more context around, okay, why this URL, who hosted, is there any relation to any threat actor, any relation to any malware family or TTP sandbox wizard. So many things around that particular incident you need to get through the threat intelligence. But the most important part is here you need to continuously document your learnings as well, because what you are documenting or witnessing today as an attack will become a learning for someone else. That's why this phase, it is important not just to stay at the technical level but go beyond and start crafting more technical details as well. And the last phase is obviously after an attack, collaboration, right? It's the most important thing, that you just don't sit on the information or the knowledge which you just generated from a lot many attacks which you have observed. It is most important thing to again share back those information. That attack is over doesn't mean it may be over for you, but there's a second attack waiting for you or the same attack waiting for someone else. So collaboration is most important thing, be it internally, externally, where you start sharing your own learnings. So these are the different ways I see that when the threat intelligence can be used at multiple phases. Now coming to the last three things which I want to you to take away: the Intel automation, why and what level automation will help, and the second is the tactical shift, which I was talking that why the whole TTP idea is getting popular, and collaboration. So if we talk about the whole automation, again I plotted back to the life cycle if you see, and obviously I put the one more governance layer here. But if you go to each and every phase of the life cycle, let's say in Intel ingestion. So if you see this icon, these icons as the meaning, if you see the machine, and this stands for the human, and I've tried to plot that what can be done by machine, what can be done by human, and what can be done by the combination. So as I was saying, in Intel ingestion, you have Intel segregation, Intel tagging, something can be done by machine. In enrichment, external enrichment, this can be, you can write a Python script, or you can use any ready-made tools which will do this automatically for you. But then interrelation is a combination of, again, machine and human, where machine will be able to tell you some out of the box relation based on the past data history, the learning or the enrichment. But human still plays a key role when it comes to enriching those relative information. Collaboration, again, it has to be more human focused, because collaboration, there are partial things we have seen people are doing via machine, but still the most important part is the intention. That collaboration starts when you have a good intention at the individual level, intention at the organizational level, board level. And that's why still it is very human dependent, I would say. Decision making, obviously, when you are trying to score the intel, trying to investigate the intel, visualize TTP correlation, or threat actor analysis, all the aspects when you are trying to make the decision, different place, machine and human, and the human plays decisive role. And obviously the response can be still automated on most of the technologies, but still many times you need to collaborate or share the information with the human. And overall governance perspective, the common thing that people keep asking, I want to know the ROI of the feed I'm consuming in my infrastructure, or the KRI KPIs, because we are doing so many things. How do I prove that I'm doing so many things? So that's the governance aspect coming to each and every operations which we do, be it SOC, incident response, threat hunting, or red team. Uh, moving on to the second thing, more on the technical to tactical shift, which I say that why this whole technical to tactical. It's not complete shift, but yeah, the focus wise now people are giving equal importance to both the aspect, that why technical, why tactical things are equally important. While we should continuously keep focusing on the technical indicators like IP domain URL hash, because that's a primary defense, but how you can harness the technical information out of those and act on those, that is also equally important. Before I go into the whole comparison of the tactical and technical, let's have one more quiz to get the quick understanding Again, small two questions. Mavin, if you can just put it onto the screen so we can have the quick response from everyone.
Definitely, definitely. So again, this is poll 3 with 2 questions in them. I will be launching the poll questions now. Okay, there we are.
Only two questions. I know, I think many things I can keep asking about the MITRE because that's what one of my favorite topic. The MITRE attack navigator, I've been doing so many things around that. Uh, there are many new projects, being released by MITRE, not just the matrices that we see, but apart from that, also they have many projects like sightings and the whole care project and many other projects which are being used or useful onto the defensive side. So the first question was, how many tactics are part of enterprise attack navigator? And the second is, which one of the below is not part of MITRE enterprise matrices? The people who know, there are many MITRE matrices. So here I want to know that which one is not part of enterprise matrices.
Okay, so I think we got some good responses. I am going to end the poll right now. We've passed 60 seconds, a minute. I've ended the poll and I am sharing the results.
Awesome. How many? Okay, I think 40% of the people are bang on the first question, where it says, at almost 12 tactics uh, into the enterprise attack navigator. Good. And the second, which one of the below is not part of micro enterprise metrics? Bang on. 56% says ICS. This is 100% because Windows, Mac, Linux, cloud, GPC, Azure, AD, or Azure, all this comes under the enterprise matrices, while ICS is something which is separate. So good. I think people already know much about the MITRE, and I may not need to emphasize more on the my next slides. Obviously, pyramid of pain. I don't want to go into the detail. We already talked so much about the TTPs and why TTP. Where do you start? Like the bottom part of it, IOCs, and then you move towards the TTP aspect. But still, there is one slide before we move into the whole collaboration thing. Is the whole the comparison, why we keep saying the technical versus tactical. One good learning, if you see, just put yourself into the other side of the table. Let's say being a red teamer, uh, uh, or being any offensive guy. If you see, when you develop any payload or you craft a malware, right, and when you send that malware to your target and that gets executed in your successful connection, then somebody asks you to have another target. Obviously that, okay, within the one organization, if I have compromised someone and that was like 2 days before or maybe an 2 hour before, the very first thing, as a safer side, what I will do is I know that a malware has been delivered. If somebody is caught, somebody will know fingerprint and will try to calculate the hash. We'll have the sandbox and we'll know the any CNC URL and everything. So what I will do is I will go into the code, I will recompile, I may change the few modules within the code, and I will recompile and my hash is changed. So if somebody was just relying on the hash as an attack to block, I have an advantage now because I've recompiled my code. And let's say from a CNC URL perspective, I was using AWS and I went ahead and changed the whole URL or the IP combination, or maybe I'm using the DDNS in terms of to jump through the multiple domains. So changing any technical aspects of the attack is easy for any attacker. That's why you see every life perspective. We see the technical indicators has some expiry, that when it gets expired, every technical indicator, maybe someone will stay for 48 hours to 1 week to 1 month, maybe 3 months, but it has to have some expiry. That's why it is important to have the more learnings from those technical indicators and try to go towards more TTPs or the tactical aspect. Let's take an example. As a defender, as a SOC guy, incident responder, when you see any a malware hash from any one machine doing a CNC. So when you extract this hash, rather than just calculating the hash and blocking the CNC URL, we obviously do the sandboxing. And today, now all the malware sandbox are becoming more advanced, where they started mapping and extracting this whole the techniques. And I've seen many popular sandbox now even started mapping to the whole MITRE TTPs even. So it is important to start documenting those TTPs from those attacks which you are observing, and start building your own database of the TTPs for long-term use, saying that how many TTPs, what are the most popular TTPs you are observing into the malware attacks within your organization. So those kind of things we should keep doing, because once I know that this malware was performing this technique, was using this tool, and this is the way it was doing it. Now, if I go and put the countermeasure or the counter control for that technique, right, I will always have an advantage. Let's say rather than just blocking the malware hash and URL, I decompiled, I opened the sandbox result, I found out that it was doing credential dumping from memory using a PowerShell. Okay, this is the more technical learning I had. Now I asked, and my Active Directory guy, hey, can you put the group policy so that nobody can touch maybe this particular process into the memory, which I know lss.exe will not be touched by any external executable? Or can you alert me? Can I write a signature into my EDR solution, so that if something like this happens, I am alerted in real time? So now you know that even if the attacker goes and recompile the code, but if he is using the same technique or same tool, then we have the already countermeasure, which is more long term in nature. So now that attacker needs to go and change the whole technique, or the way he was doing the credential dumping, or with the way he was getting the credential from user machine. Now he needs to go and change that, because the old technique is already being detected and there are already countermeasures in place. So that's how we are. Again, it is not a magic wand that once it is done, you are sitting idle, but you always get a good breathing period. In the longer term, because attacker will take his own time to research on the new techniques and will come up. So that's why I will say, average lifespan wise, this has a shorter lifespan. This one has a really good lifespan when you put the technical control. Obviously, this is easy to import an act. This takes a time, difficult to implement an act, but I would say this is a short-term defense, while this is more of a long-term defense. So you can't just say no to technical either or no to technical either. It's equally important, but you should keep deriving from both the sides, so technical as well as technical. Okay, sure. So I will just say this whole info sharing. I was just explaining the how the machine will play the role. But in a way, nutshell, there are three learnings which I want to have everyone. The first is the automation. That why automation is important, and to make sure that you are cutting down all the mundane tasks and putting up the load of your people, to make sure that all the mundane tasks of your threat intel lifecycle is being taken care by the machine. The second is, once they have time left, they can more focus on the technical aspect of the threat intelligence. They can analyze those attacks. And the third important part is the collaboration. That why sharing the information bidirectionally is whole important thing. I just showed you a few examples, that power of collaboration when you collaborate, and you can use the whole citing concepts to make sure that any disinformation campaigns are running to thwart any campaigns or attacks. We can counter those using the power of collaboration. So these are the three key takeaways I want to take. And with that, I will just hand over to you, Marvin. If anyone has any specific question, please feel free to ask or push it into the chat. I'll be happy to answer that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Avkash. So that was a very in-depth and fun. There's a lot of poll questions. This is very surprising, the amount of questions and the answers, but very nice ones. So very insightful presentation. Thank you very much. Sorry, everyone. I'd like to apologize for the abrupt ending. I do. At present, we're trying to figure out as to why that happened, right? So, but I'm glad everyone joined back, and we're on schedule. We're moving ahead. Okay. So as Avkash mentioned, right? Any questions related to his presentation, you can freely go ahead, hit the Q&A tab, mention his name, and then obviously followed by the question. He is there. So we'll move on to the next one without wasting any time. We'll move on to Kaushal, okay, who presented last at the previous Connect. Obviously, this is one of the things that we talk about, the community aspect, the cybersecurity warriors. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, any feedback for us, you can freely write to us at connect@nif.it, and you can also connect with us at stack.nif.it. You can write your questions. You can tell us if there's anything about Connect, if it's anything about cybersecurity, any questions about previous Connect sessions that we've had, about previous presenters, and anything of the topics touched upon, any questions that you have, freely go ahead and ask us on of these channels, and we're more than happy to incorporate them and answer them. So as I mentioned, we'll move ahead with Kaushal. So Kaushal is no new person to this. He's already presented once, and he's going to do the same again. Great guy. So Kaushal is an active member of the Null Mumbai chapter and a threat researcher at Cyware Labs. His areas of interest include security automation, design securing solutions, and cloud automation. So a great guy. I've known him for some time right now as well, and he comes up with these great ideas, and he's really enthusiastic and interested in all of this. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Kaushal so for him to take it further.
Thank you, Marvin, for that great introduction. Okay, so I'll quickly go ahead and share the screen.
Yes, so I have stopped sharing. You can.
Again, thanks everyone for staying this late till the last session. Again, as you all know, the topic for today is strategizing threat intelligence the hard way. Okay, so recently I was having a talk with Avkash that even though there are so many advanced products which help you detect threats on a granular level, but still you see every day there are still a lot of hacks happening. So what are people doing wrong? Now, this is the interesting part. He said a majority of the people today still are not sure about which threats they should be actually worried about. What are their important assets? Are they being monitored properly? There are still a ton of rules in an organization which just alerts for the brute force attacks, or there are still a ton of intel flowing inside an organization without proper prioritization. Now, this answer actually motivated me to give this session. So, about me, I am a threat researcher at Cyware Labs. I've previously worked as DevOps and security engineer at Mikhail. My areas of interest include security automations, DevOps, building pipelines, and threat intelligence analytics. Okay, now the agenda for today is threat intelligence, a quick review of the previous two sessions, as the entire day today was around threat intelligence. Now I'm not going to go in much depth about the high level stuff or the 30,000 feet above stuff. I'm actually trying to cover a lot of on ground issues around what people face and the actual things you should be doing with the threat intelligence. So the next thing we will quickly touch upon is the pitfalls of threat intelligence, and after that we will be overcoming the pitfalls, of course, the hard way, and lastly we will be prioritizing and aggregating the intel. Okay, now starting with the traditional threat intelligence, where there was no cyber threat but actual threat for rulers who were ruling their kingdoms. We all know obviously that wars were common back then. Let's think, as a ruler, how would someone prioritize their wars or threats for the maximum benefit of their kingdom? The places having more farms or villagers were prioritized for the yield to be captured. The places having more mines were also prioritized for their gold and diamond yields. Now, to defend from such attacks, rulers started building forts and castles to monitor any malicious activity or any malicious advances from other kingdoms. Now let's connect this with our current landscape. The data which we have today can be called as fields or the gold mines of yesterday that we need to protect. Our cyber landscape is our kingdom. The SIMs, our castles, through which we monitor stuff, and the cyber security tools, our shields and swords, through which we actually try to prevent those threats, right? Now, one more point to note here is how the rulers strategize their attacks, their defenses, and how they made allies to help them in times of needs. The same is our case in case of cyber threat intelligence. Now, a quick review of what the previous sessions for today have already covered. We have learned that there are three main parts of threat intelligence: tactical, which focuses on performing malware analysis and getting the actual IOCs; operational, which focuses on understanding adversarial capabilities, infrastructure, and TTPs; and strategic, which only focuses on understanding high-level adversarial trends having critical business impacts. Now, that's a high-level overview of the categorization. I will not be going in much depth about the theoretical part of these, as we have already covered it in previous sessions. Let's quickly dive into the practical scenario of these types, how and where you will encounter them, and what are the pitfalls. Let me start with a story, as I think everyone loves stories, right? So let's take an example of an organization called as Evil Corp. It's an IT startup which sells medicine online. So now there's a news going online that the APTXX is active in the region, right? Now let's touch upon this with different perspective. Okay. Now thinking about the CISO perspective, what CISO goes through is let's see, like he goes around reading news on say some kind of blogs, for example the hacker news. He reads about the APT1 being active in the region. So like what he does, he quickly calls up his manager, so and asks, like, are we safeguarded against this attack? The manager like replies, oh, okay, I will just check and get back to you, right? The manager asks the analyst, like, are we safeguarded against this attack? Like again the analyst replies the same. Now like after the call, the analyst quickly searches on the web and gets the IOCs related to the APTXX and logs them on the SIM or the firewall. He quickly goes back to his manager and like replies, okay, now we are safeguarded against this. The manager again gives the CISO the go ahead that okay, yes, we are safeguarded against this. Now what happens next? Yes, they get hacked the next day, right? Why? Where did they actually go wrong? Is it that the analyst tried to block some kind of IOCs in the organization which changed? Is that the IP or the malware hash that the analyst blocked in the SIM or like wrote the rule for? Did that change, or like was that the pitfall? So are you telling me that tactical intelligence is greater than technical? So are you telling me that if the analyst, instead of blocking those IOCs, would have researched more about the actual threat, would that organization be safeguarded from the hack? Now let's see about that. Okay, so before before going into the next part, I will just quickly touch upon the tactical aspect of threat intelligence and the different frameworks around this. Like what are the threat actors, how they attack, what techniques they use, etc. So now, like there are currently different kind of threat intelligence frameworks being used more and more. Like one of the majorly used one is the MITRE ATT&CK framework. The other one is the NIST framework, and the last one is the cyber kill chain. Now, what this tells us is that when you face a threat and say fight with it practically instead of just blocking IOCs. If you study those kind of attacks, and instead of just blindly blocking IOCs, if you like try to block the actual way the attacker is trying to hack, if you say patch those kind of vulnerabilities in your organization, you will be more safeguarded against it. Okay, so let's quickly see about that. Now I have a demo prepared for that. Now in the now in the next scenario, what the analyst does is, instead of simply blocking the IOCs, the analyst researches more. He sees, okay, now the APT1 in this example, what kind of techniques it uses, like which areas it's active in, right? So he finds like one of the technique, that is the account discovery. He sees that, okay, now the APT1 uses three kind of commands: the net local group, net user, and the net group command to find accounts on the system, right? Now he quickly goes into his Splunk and like any SIM and writes say a detection rule for the same, right? Now like he goes and checks about like various other techniques the APT1 uses, and like goes about and like writes detection rules for all of them. Okay, now in this case again, I want to highlight that in this case, would the organization be safe? Obviously not, right? Because what the analyst did in the previous slide, yeah, as you can see here, like what the analyst did was just searched like APT1, the techniques it uses, and like simply went ahead and wrote rules in the SIM to block the net star command, right? You see here, the analyst just wrote a rule to block to like detect the net and anything after that command, right? Now what is the pitfall of this, right? As you can see, the net groups command is only relevant to the Windows machines, right? Now in that organization there could be cases wherein the organization itself doesn't use any Windows operating system, right? So this is one of the great pitfalls of this. Now like what? Now again, the other major pitfall is the attacker goes on the attack navigator. He goes he gives his detection the 100 score. He shares this attack navigator with his manager, with his CISO, and they all get a false sense of security that, okay, just because I have implemented the tactical intelligence in my organization, just because I have blocked some of the techniques in my organization, I am safeguarded against all threats, right? Now, such false kind of security needs to be thought upon, needs to be blocked upon, needs to be overcome by us, right? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now what could have been the better way of approaching this, right? The analyst could have like researched more and okay, that I have blocked just one out of the 25 other kind of sub techniques this APT can use, right? Because like he just saw that APT1 uses the account discovery technique. He just gave that 100 score, right? Instead of that, the attacker could have the analyst could have gone about and just made a score like I have just defended against one out of the 25 techniques, so I will give this a score of 0.04, right? So this kind of analysis, or say this kind of matrix, or say this kind of overview gives a better sense of security instead of just giving like, okay, like I've just blocked like one of the like one of the techniques used by one of the APT, and like I'm safeguarded against that, right? So that's a very bad approach when you go about implementing any kind of threat intelligence framework in your organization. You should always think about what's going to be the pitfall of this, what's going to be a better way to implement this, right? Sorry. Yeah. Let's quickly like move on and think about what's the other kind of things like your organization can do to prevent such kind of threat. Obviously, like in the traditional war, in the traditional wars, the kings made allies in their like with other kingdoms, right? Now the allies supplied troops to them whenever the kings needed them in like times of war. Again, the kings themselves sent troops to their allies whenever they needed, right? So such kind of sharing is always a part of defending against say cyber threats, against any kind of threat, because sharing is caring. Yes. Let's quickly go about touching this some of the type of sharing intel in the organization. So again, this is an open taxi server which like you can use to take the IOCs from. Now just giving you all first an overview of like what taxi is and like what sticks is. Like they are these standards defined in the cybersecurity world to share the intel in a specified kind of manner. They have their own kind of services running in the backend, which can be used or like which are in a standardized way, right? As you can see here, there is the discovery URL, the collection URL, and the poll URL mentioned by this taxi server. Now, what these are is the discovery URL tells you what all collections in is present in the taxi server. Now, again, touching upon the collections. The collections are, you can say, as folders present in the taxi servers. Now, what these folders contain and why these folders are needed. Sorry, like if I'm being a bit quick, like you can stop me anyway by raising hands or like asking questions too. Okay. Yeah. So, like, what are these collections? Is these collections are you can say a collections of IOCs. Now, why these collections were brought into picture like while defining the tax standards is you need to have only that kind of intelligence which is relevant to your organization. Now, if I am say a parent organization and like I have like three or four of my child organization, I only want intelligence to be shared with my child organization which are relevant to them, not any kind of out of the world threats. Again, like if I share that, it like doesn't mean anything, right? Again the block list is going to pile and pile and pile, and like never the relevant intelligence is going to be shared, right? So that kind of sharing and like that kind of granular mechanism is being implemented like via the taxi servers. Okay, so I've like I've just written a Jupyter notebook wherein I'm quickly going on and polling that taxi server for the IOCs. Now, why this demo is you can use this kind of Jupyter notebooks which are freely available to say gain those IOCs freely to make that analytics better for you, and to gain only the relevant information among the the lot of intel flowing in the world. So if you can see here, I'll quickly poll the service types. I'm getting the collections. You can see here there are different type of collections that are called as VX Vault, the cybercrime tracker, malware domain list, host list, etc. Right. Okay. Coming to the final version, we have pulled a sticks package that is an XML that is in XML format. You can again parse this using the Jupyter notebooks and take the intel out of it, basically. Yeah. Now, again, why this is important is sticks taxi and sticks packages is you can apart from the MD5 hash and like other type of simple IOCs, you can also share the TTPs, right? Like if you see here on the screen, like the cyber kill chain phase is being maintained, and the TTP which is shared by this kind of package is also like you can get that. So this, like while using this kind of mechanism, you can get, okay, now like if I have a threat from the APT1, like what all kind of what cyber kill chain does it follow? Does I do I have detection and the response mechanism for each kind of cyber kill chain phase? Do I have that in my kind of organization? Do I have this kind of relevant information for only specific to APT1, right? Now moving on, there is another demo I prepared. Like it's just a small demo of the Docker. Now, instead of like using the Jupyter notebook, this time I am polling. The taxi servers using the freely available Cabby client, which is available in the Dockerized version. Okay. So again, the same one. You can see here the different kind of collections, and yeah. So if you can see here, the entire sticks package is in the readable format. So this kind of things are made easily available nowadays. You can like go about and start using them just by one command, right? Now. Again, coming to the third demo for the Intel sharing, I have the MISP. I have the MISP framework. Now, what's the difference between MISP and like the sticks taxi is? MISP has you can say a good amount of graphs, etc. So like you can go about and see that, okay, like if I have thousands of packages being shared in my organization, how can I correlate them? Like what's the best way to go about to defend any kind of threats? Now again, the good part about MISPs, you can also share like other than the IOCs, again, like you can share the MITRE attack data, etc. You can also share the Sigma, which is the upcoming way to share the threat detection rules. Right. Moving forward, now we have shared the intel, we have seen the pitfalls. Now let's see how to strategize this intel and like how to gain the maximum ROI for like this intel, right? The fifth demo here. So like in this I have taken all the threat actor data from the MITRE website, which is again freely available. I have like made some kind of analytics on top of that. So you can see here made an analytic to see what technique is used most by any threat actors, right? So like you can see that T1064 is used 41 is used by 41 of the threat actors. The T1204 is used by 37 threat actors, right? Like if you can again see here, like this is the P1064 is the scripting technique, and you can quickly get like what all data sources you need to monitor to safeguard from this kind of technique, what all defense this technique bypasses in your organization, right? Now this kind of analytics bring in your organization um, a, a sense of true security. Like, okay, if I have if I have truly made detections, or like if I have some kind of say okay, like some kind of proactive mechanism to say defend against this kind of technique, always like fully, not like halfway, like we saw earlier, then I can get the maximum ROI in my organization, right? Now the next analytic I wanted to share is the data sources, right? Again the MITRE website shares this kind of information. It shares like what all data sources, if you monitor what techniques you can be safeguarded against. Okay, so now taking the maximum ROI out of this two, you can see that if you monitor your process, if you make a baselining of your files, and then say monitor any changes made to that, you can defend against 178 technique, and just by like monitoring the changes in the file, you can again safeguard against 107 technique. That's the maximum ROI for a company, right? Okay, I think we are done with most of the parts. These are some of the key takeaways you should take from this session is understand frameworks and their pitfalls before implementing them. Implement a framework the hard way. Prioritize your intel according to KPIs, landscape, industrial sector, region, and the threat actors. Research for maximum ROI from a minimum effort. That's the smart way. Again, thank you all for being till the end. And if you have any questions or doubts, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, so that was Kaushal with his presentation. So that was a great one. I mean, thank you very much for pulling that off. I mean, I know that certain disruptions like this, right, they cause a lot of, they basically throw you off balance, but you still pulled off, and within record time, like you pulled everything off. So once again, I'm apologizing to everyone for that abrupt ending to the session. I do not know how it got disconnected, and luckily we got connected back. We're still streaming live on YouTube. Most of this recording will be available. We will edit it for, take out a lot of stuff that is the mishaps, right? And presenters presentations in its wholesome, right? That including Mikhail, Avkash and Kaushal will be available on YouTube. So rest assured that will happen. Thank you very much, Kaushal, again for that. And I apologize for the inconvenience. Okay, so so share your knowledge and become a Konnect community hero. Very simple. Just write to us at connect@nif.it. We're also giving some time, since we're already running out of time. So you can at present hit the Q&A tab and ask questions. You can mention the name of the presenter and the questions that you have. I think it's more than it suffices to say that we can answer it online if the presenters do not mind. So if any questions pop up right now, we I think the presenters can take it online itself. Again, I would like to do my part and say thanks to give a word of thanks to all our presenters. They've taken the time out of this this whole situation that we're facing right now, and they've shown their support towards the Connect community. Thank you for the the knowledge they have provided, the knowledge they imparted, the most importantly the time that they have given to us. Preparing all of this and working towards it is a very hard thing. Trust me, I know that they have taken a lot of time. Worked in the middle of the night as well, maybe late in the night and all that stuff. So great, thank you very much for that. Word of thanks to our technology partners as well. Kaspersky, thank you for assisting in this time, and thank you for assisting the community and the general public in whole with the free COVID-19 based threat intel feeds. Really a great gesture by them. Okay, so since we're still waiting for a Q&A, I'll just start with this. Okay, so this is some of the things that I actually do say every now and then, right? Previously it was don't be a a desperado. This time it's don't be a couch potato because we're all stuck at home, right? Most of us. So don't lounge on your your recliners. Don't lounge on your sofas. Don't just sit back and let's hit work. Like let's complete those tasks. Let's get work done. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's great. But make sure that you eat right, you work out, you stay active, and you stay healthy. Put a little exercise into your routine. Do it in the morning, do it in the evening, do it whenever. You can do a lot of stuff just sitting on the desk as well. There's a lot of self-help stuff that's come out on YouTube as well. It's simple, it's easy, you don't have to do much. And you can just do a little daily and increase it every day, and you can stay healthy, right? And most importantly, just because you work out doesn't mean you can eat a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of unhealthy stuff. Please, another factor is eat right as well. And remember, we are all in this together. You are not alone. All of us are stuck at home. All of us are trying to figure out how we can best be productive, do our house chores as well, and balance work life and our personal lives together. Make sure that you figure out your own way of coping with these things, and make sure that you balance yourself in that manner. You will be happy. You will be satisfied. You will not get depressed or feel lonely in these times, and you feel stuck and trapped. Trust me. So I think just a minute. Yeah. Okay. So Vaibhav Tole is written. Thanks. It was a great session. Thank you very much. Thank you for sticking till the end. Okay. So if there are any questions, okay, and if there are any questions that are directed to any of our presenters, you can write to us, and we will make sure that these questions get to them. Some of them have already shared their information with you, like Mikhail has done, Avkash also, and I'm not sure, Kaushal, if you all have done it, but irrespective, you can write to us at connect@nif.in. We'll be more than happy to send those questions forward, have them answered, and put you directly in contact with these people, so that this is all part of the community. We're all one, right? We're all trying to get answers. We're all trying to learn. We're all trying to answer questions. We're all trying to expand our knowledge. That's the most important thing. So till next time, thank you very much. Thank you for attending this session. Once again, apologies for the abrupt disconnect, but hope to see you next time, and stay safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of people around you, and all the best.